Hi, I'm Laura and welcome to class today. Today we're going to focus on a beginner's workout. If you are completely new to Pilates, I do have a previous video which is Pilates for beginners back to basics, and that focuses on all the fundamentals. So today's class is going to focus on the fundamentals, but we're going to be adding on some extras to that. So as always, choose the options that feel good for your body. We're all responsible for our own bodies and how it feels during the workout. So just check into that as we go through. And before we start, we want to check that we've got what we need. And that is either a towel or a block that we're going to pop behind the head, and use it for other various things as well. So if you do have a towel, grab it. If you've got a block as well, grab that also. So we're going to get started. And what you're going to do is pop your towel up to the end of your mat where your head is going to be. So it's going to be easier for us to grab it up there. So making our way down onto our back, just taking hold of the back of the thighs and taking a roll down through your spine gently, just guiding yourselves down. And then I'm going to pop my towel underneath my head, and that's just going to help elongate the back of my neck more. Okay. So starting with our alignment, bring your feet to comfortable distance from your bottom, so not too close, not too far away, somewhere in between. And we want to line up roughly our heels with our two sitting bones, the bony landmarks at the bottom of your pelvis, and your knees want to be the same width as your feet are on the mat. And just checking that we feel the back of the pelvis on the mat, nice and heavy. And we feel that the back of the neck is long, so gently drawing the chin towards the chest so our eye gaze naturally looks forwards on the ceiling. From there, we want to engage the back of the rib cage onto the mat, and if that's difficult to achieve, the block or the pillow or whatever you've got underneath your head, you may want to double it over so that you can elevate your head a little higher. The higher your head is in relation to your rib cage makes it easier to bring your rib cage down to the mat. The rib cage being down allows our spine to have all its natural curves and be as close to our neutral spine, which is optimum position, as we can be. So the neck is nice and long, the eye gaze is forwards, the rib cage is down now. And then bring your hands to the front of your pelvis, slide first fingers and thumbs together. And what we're identifying now are the two pelvic bones with the heel of our hands and the pubic bone with our fingertips. And I often call this your pelvic triangle. So we're identifying the three bones at the front of the pelvis. And we're just going to try and bring those three bones so that they're level with each other. So make any adjustments that you need to. For me, I need to bring my tailbone heavier into the mat. So my lower back lifts. And once you find that you've got that position, bring your hands up to your rib cage. Slide them wide if you can. Let's begin with our thoracic breathing. So inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. So you want to feel the inhale and the expansion of your rib cage underneath your hands. And your exhale, you want to feel the narrowing of your rib cage underneath your hands. So your rib cage is doing this accordion action, bellowing out and then narrowing in. I want you to feel that when you breathe out, the back of your body just relaxes into the mat. So the back of the pelvis, the rib cage, the back of the head becomes heavier. So we're just letting go of any muscles that may be holding on that don't need to be. Now this way of breathing allows us to connect with our deep abdominal muscles. So we're going to find those deep abdominal muscles. So I want you to first keep breathing, but visualize where your pubic bone is at the front of your pelvis, your tailbone and the two sit bones at the back of your pelvis that create a little diamond between your legs. Now on your next out breath, I want you to visualize those four bones narrowing towards each other and the pelvic floor lifting up. So that's going to engage your pelvic floor muscles. I want you to keep that engagement as you breathe in and as you continue to breathe out. So we've got our pelvic floor engaged. Now we're going to find our transverse abdominis, our deep core muscle. So as you exhale this time, gently draw the navel to spine without losing the connection of your pelvic floor. Breathe in, keep the connection of those two muscles. And every exhale that we do, we want to reconnect with them. So the most challenging part now is breathing in and keeping the connection, and then reconnecting on our out breath. keeping the breath wide and back into the ribs. Bringing your hands down to your pelvis, but continuing with your breath. On your next out breath, tip your pelvic triangle towards your chest. You're rounding your lower back towards the mat, and the tailbone curls off the ground. Inhale, bring your pelvis back to neutral. So it's a sense of just softening and relaxing back to that initial position. Tailbone drops, lower back lifts. And again, exhale, tip the pelvis backwards, tighten navel to spine and pelvic floor. And inhale, feel a release of those muscles. The tailbone lengthens towards the heels. Now 2 more times, so we rock the pelvis backwards, keeping the feet relaxed into the mat, so avoiding pressing into the floor or gripping into the neck and the shoulders. And last time. Okay, bringing the pelvis back to neutral. And what we're going to do is just take away our pillow at the back of the head. We can bring it back in a moment. Let your head come down and your arms release to the side of your mat. We're going to start with this pelvic tilt again. So on your out breath, begin to tip your pelvis backwards. But this time, start to lift up the tailbone and the back of your pelvis. Feel the big toes, the little toes, and the centre of the heel into the mat. Just pause a moment. So we should have the back of the pelvis and the tailbone off the mat. I'd like you to now keep the ribs down, but start to peel up the lower back. Pause a moment. Can you lift your pubic bone and your pelvic triangle, tip it toward your chest? Now let's start to lift up the waist. Pause whenever you need to, so you may not go all the way to the top. And then we're going to start to lift the rib cage. Now when we get to the top, think of trying to press the front of your pelvis up to the ceiling while we tip our triangle towards the chest and narrow the 2 sit bones. The abdominals draw down, the glutes push up. Now we're going to roll down in reverse, so we bring the back ribs down, the waist down, the lower back, the pelvis, and then the tailbone. We're going to do 2 more of these a little bit quicker. So release the sit bones down to find neutral, and then on your exhale we tip the pelvis backwards and we roll up to a height that we feel is comfortable for us. We're keeping neck and shoulders relaxed, and we roll back down. So we're just going to do 1 more. So rolling up and down, trying to feel that we're peeling each vertebrae off the mat one at a time. Now when our spine finds the mat again, I'd like you to identify where neutral is for you. So 2 bones, 2 pelvic bones and pubic bone level. Lower back is away from the mat. We're going to interlace our fingers and take our hands behind our head. So the thumbs reach down the sides of the neck. Your elbows are going to be lifted away from the mat in your peripheral vision. This just helps keep the shoulder blades wide on your upper back. Now gently nodding the chin, feel how you're almost picking the back of your skull up towards the top end of your mat. Inhale, exhale, slide the front ribs down and lift the chest. Coming into our spine curl or our ab curl, and then we're going to lower back down on our inhale. Feel the back of your neck, the head reach up to the top of your mat, so we're lengthening down. So on our exhale we lift, on our inhale we lower. So we're initiating from the front bottom ribs. The thorax, the rib cage area lifts up, curls up without pulling on the head and the neck. So we keep the same distance between the chin and the chest as we lift compared to when we're on the ground. So it's exactly the same. We're going to do 2 more of these, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And I'm trying to get my front bottom ribs down towards my pelvic bones. Now last one, keeping your tailbone down, working the stabilizing muscles to keep your pelvis still. Now we're going to stay here. Head stays in the hands. We're going to tip our pelvis backwards and roll up to where our shoulder bridge is for ourselves today. Okay, so wherever you are, check your neck is relaxed, your shoulders are down. And we're going to start to roll down. So I'd like you to bring the back of your rib cage to the mat. My glutes are still pushing my hips up, but my abdominals are controlling my rib cage down. Now we're going to continue to peel the rest of the spine down, but at the same time, I'm going to start to lift into my spine curl. So I'm still lowering my lower back, my pelvis, and then my tailbone. Once my tailbone drops, I'm up in my spine curl. So I'm going to reverse that. I start to lower my head and shoulders, and as I do, I tip my pelvis backwards. I'm starting to peel up my pelvis, my lower back, my waist, my rib cage, and then as I'm at the top, my head finally finds the mat. So we're going to keep going with this. Inhale, exhale, start to roll, head and shoulders peel off the mat. Really trying to work on keeping that flexion of the spine. Now as the tailbone drops, your lower back will lift, and we're going to do one more each way. So we lift up, upper spine rolls down. So lots of control through the abdominal muscles here. We should start to feel that. And then rolling back down. So I'm opening my chest, feeling the crown of my head and my tailbone reaching oppositionally. Still tipping my triangle towards the chest. And as you hear, you finally drop the tailbone, release your arms and lower your head and neck down. And just take a rotation from right to left with your head. Excellent. So that's challenging. Lots of coordination. We're going to take our pillow back behind your head if you like. We're checking our checkpoints at the back of the body. So head, rib cage, pelvis, feet, but space at the lower back. I'd like you to bring your hands to the front of your pelvis now because I want to work on stabilizing through the spine and the pelvis. Take an in breath, and as you exhale, float your right leg up to tabletop. And I just want you to pause here. Now the weight of this leg is going to cause your pelvis to tip towards it. So if you have a look at your pelvis, you want to check that your left pelvic bone isn't higher than your right. If it is, I want you to feel the oblique muscles, the side abdominals on your left side, draw the side of your pelvis down into the mat. And that activation at the opposite side to the leg that's lifted is going to keep your pelvis level, because that is the aim here. Okay, we're going to keep going with this leg. We're going to start to lower it towards the ground on your out breath. And we're going to inhale to float the leg back up. Every time I move the leg, I'm really trying to keep my left hip heavy. So I'm feeling the left side of my body working, but I'm trying to keep my thigh relaxed. So the thigh bone is heavy in my hip. I'm just going to do one more with this leg. So it's quite challenging to keep the pelvis and the spine still. Have you still got neutral pelvis and spine? As this leg lowers, this time we lower and keep it there. We're going to lift the second leg. So when you're ready, exhale to lift and check in. Are your pelvic bones level with your pubic bone? Okay, if we had a spirit level from hip bone to hip bone, would the bubble be in the center of that spirit level? Have you still got the tiny space at your lower back? And we want to make sure that the lower back is the lightest part of the spine. We start to lower and then lift. So checking in, do we need to drop the right hip further into the mat to make sure that the pelvic bones are level? And if you're not sure with your touch of your hands, just lift your head for a moment and check in. Sometimes having a little look helps our mind to visualize where our body is in space. Now we're going to lower this foot all the way down, and we're going to come back to the right leg. So the right leg is going to lift up, and we're going to reach the leg out and in. So as the leg reaches out, this becomes more load on the torso, which means it's a heavier limb as it's straight, and it means the abdominals have to work harder to keep our alignment. So we're checking in, is the lower back arching? If it is, go back to the lower and lift of your bent knee, which is a knee fold. This is a leg extension. We're going to lower this foot to the mat. We're going to change sides. So we lift the left leg up as we're ready, deepening the back body into the mat, and then reaching the leg out and then in. So that feeling of drawing the rib cage, the pelvis downwards, helps to engage your deep core muscles. So navel to spine, transverse abdominis, and pelvic floor. Those two actions really help to stabilize. So last one, you can either go back to your knee fold or your leg extension. We're going to make this more challenging now. So first leg lifts on your exhale. Feel the thigh heavy in the hip. Draw the left hip into the mat. pelvis and ribcage super heavy into the floor now. So you're going to feel the abdominals working. And I want you to get a sense of lightening your left foot off the mat without actually lifting it at the moment. Now, if you feel you can keep that control without arching your back, which is going to put pressure and load through the back body, which is what we don't want, you lift your second leg to tabletop. Okay, staying here, we're going to start to extend our right leg out and bend that leg back in. We're going to alternate sides this time. Exhaling to reach out, inhaling to reach in. Now, we're checking into our abdominal muscles. Can my belly button stay drawing in? Can my core stay in? If the belly button's pushing up, that's called abdominal doming, what we call abdominal doming. Abdominal doming is when the deep core muscles have released. That's an indication that the load is too much for your torso. Also, check into your neck, your shoulders. And as you come in this time, we're just going to give our knees a little hug into our chest. Gently roll side to side on your lower back. Okay, so if that was too challenging for you today, that's okay. That's something that we can work up towards. If everything was achievable at the beginning, we wouldn't work for it. So it's something to work towards. We're going to keep our right knee in now, and we're going to extend our left leg all the way out. Now, this may be challenging to hold. Okay, what I want you to check is that the left leg is in line with your hip, so we've got a straight line from our foot, knee to our hip joint, and our knee, hip and ankle on your right leg, the bent leg, is also in line. Now, if you've got any knee issues, hold behind the thigh, elbows splay wide, and if you're able to, lift your head and shoulders. Now, I'm keeping the left leg high to lessen the load to begin with. I'm going to take a breath in and then exhale, switch legs. Inhale, exhale, switch. So this is a single leg stretch. And exhale, switch. Inhale, exhale, switch. One more on the left side. Remember, you can stay with what we did previously, then hug both legs in and lower your head and shoulders all the way down again. And just take a rotation of your head to the right and to the left. Okay, from here, feet come back to the ground, and we're going to come onto our side now. So I want you to use your towel in any way so that your neck is nice and comfortable. Okay, I'm going to stretch my top arm out and then pop my towel underneath my ear. Okay, both legs stretch all the way out, and we want to visualize that our feet, our knees, our hips are stacked one on top of the other. So are my shoulders, and so are my ears. Now try and slide your top leg longer than your underneath leg, and hopefully we get a sense of lifting your oblique muscles, your side abdominals, lightly off the floor. So you should be able to just very gently slide your fingertips underneath there, but my armpit is lengthening into the mat. Fingertips can find the mat, and I'm feeling quite wobbly in this position today already, so I want us to challenge this more. So navel to spine, pubic bone gently towards belly button, and pelvic floor lifts. And see if you can reach your right arm up to the ceiling. Okay, or whichever arm it is for yourself. And see if you can now just hover your top leg. Now, we're not doing any more than this today because I want us to find our balance. Now, I don't know if you can see on the video, I'm very, very slightly rocking forwards and backwards. This is my more challenging side, and you may find that once we change sides. And we're just going to see if we can reach the arm a little further overhead. Feel free to lower your top leg if you can, or if you want to, and then reach back up to the ceiling. We're just going to do 3 more. So we reach overhead, and then back up. And 2 more. And up. Last one. How wobbly are you today? Each day is going to be a little bit different as well. Now slowly lower the top leg and lower your top hand. Brilliant. So take away your towel, come around into what we call a prone position. So that's laying on your tummy, and you may use your towel for underneath your forehead. Arms to the sides into a shape of W, and just checking that your legs are a comfortable distance apart, enabling the pubic bone and your two pelvic bones to be on the ground. I want you to deepen your pubic bone a little bit heavier than your two pelvic bones, but relax your legs. Now tighten your bottom, squeeze it as tight as you can, and then let it go without changing your alignment of your pelvis. And I want you to keep your bottom this relaxed. Now slide your shoulders away from your ears, and on your next in-breath, gently lift your chest bone off the mat. Let your neck and your head just follow the lift of your chest. And then relax your chest down and your head comes to the ground or to your towel. So we're inhaling to lift. This inhale helps to facilitate extension, which is the action that the spine is doing. And then exhale to lower. So focus on keeping your pelvis nice and still, so pubic bone heavy, glutes and legs relaxed. But as we lift up with our chest, draw the navel to the spine and lift the pelvic floor up. Now we should be keeping the front bottom ribs on the mat, and this is going to isolate the movement through our thoracic spine, the rib cage area of our spine, that part of the spine that naturally rounds forwards. Okay, so this is really good to activate your upper back muscles for our posture. And we're just going to do one more here. So last one, feeling the crown of your head reach, keeping the skin on the back of the neck long, no pinching in the lower back, and then lower. Now feel free to take hands underneath your forehead if you like, or keep your arms where they are. We're going to focus on the legs. So this time I want you to tighten your bottom. Tighten your sit bones and feel that you're very gently pressing your pelvic triangle into the ground. At the same time the navel lifts, and you're going to lengthen both legs back. But I'd like you to lengthen one leg further now and lift it gently off the ground, and then lower it back down. Changing sides, reach as you inhale, exhale to lift. Now we're going to keep alternating legs, and I want you to check in. Are my two pelvic bones level with each other? Or are they rocking and rolling side to side? Can I keep my pubic bone heavy, my belly button lifted? So I want you to visualise a little blueberry underneath your belly button. And your belly button's hugging it into the floor but not squashing it. So as we lift, we're lifting from where the hamstring, the back of the leg, meets your bottom. This is going to activate the hamstring and your glute muscle. So it's not about how high we go, because sometimes if we go too high for our hip joint, we get this sinking in our lower back, and what you'll feel is that the pelvis tips forwards and the tailbone reaches up. Now if we've got the control of this, we're going to have a go lifting both legs. So same thing, reach both legs back and lift. Can you keep the alignment of your pelvis? And then lower. 3 more to finish. Exhale to lift. Shoulders and neck relax, so gently draw shoulders down. And 2. And 1. Okay, hands by the shoulders and push yourselves up so that you come into hands and knees. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips, feet relaxed, and find a straight line from the crown of your head to your tailbone, so that tabletop position. Press the back of your head towards the ceiling so it's in line with your rib cage, and draw navel and pelvic floor in. Take an in-breath. As you breathe out, start to tip the pelvis backwards, round through your lower back. We're going to go straight into cat stretch, round through your mid-back, your upper back, neck, and then head comes forwards. Come back to neutral, so lengthen the tailbone away. Start to reach along through the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, neck and head comes up last. Just one more time. Inhale, exhale, round. So rounding through that lower back, upper back. Press the ground away but slide shoulders away from the ears. Just to release the back muscles from all the work that they've just done. good for mobility of the spine. And then take a sit back. Reach your arms forwards into a child's pose. Okay, and then come up. So we're going to shift into the other side lying position now. So hopefully you remember which side you've already done. So coming all the way down, use your pillow if you like, and find a straight line from your feet all the way up to the crown of your head. So you can use the back of your edge of your mat to line up. That's a good way of making sure that you are in a straight line. Lengthen your armpit into the ground, lift your waist gap. So we're really feeling that the abdominal muscles pulling in all the way around our center now. Okay, reach if you can, so we can stay here, or arm lifts up to the ceiling, palm faces forwards. Slide the shoulder away from your ear and think of gently drawing your shoulder blades towards your spine. Now, if this is enough for you, for your balance, stay here, or we're going to lift up the top leg just to hip height, so we've got small space between the legs. And I'm thinking of reaching my crown of the head up as my legs and tailbone reach down. My arms expand across my chest. So we're going to lift. As we lift, lengthen the feet down, feel the abdominals drawing tighter, and then rise with the arm up to the ceiling. And 3. So for me, definitely less wobbly on this side. And 1 more, that's definitely my stronger oblique side. And then when you're ready, lower the leg, lower the arm. Come all the way up. We've got 1 more exercise to finish with. So just pop your towel to the side. We may need it for this one. So feet to the bottom of your mat, and you're going to take hold of the back of your thighs. Coming up to sit-in, so sit bones down into the floor, and you're going to use your arms to pull your chest high as your shoulders drop down. Now, coming back to that pelvic tilt we did right at the beginning, we're going to start with that action. So as you exhale, begin to tip your pelvis backwards. Your pubic bone lifts to the belly button and the tailbone curls underneath you. Now keeping my eye gaze towards an imaginary horizon in front and my shoulders relax down. I'm just going to start to roll back until my arms become straight, or to where I feel I can go without creating tension in neck and shoulders, or without the feet lifting off the mat. To come up, draw belly into the spine more, pelvic floor lifts, round the chest over the thighs, and as your shoulders come over hips, lift up tall. Use your arms to help you. So inhale in here, exhale, pelvic tilts all the way back. We're just going to come to straight arms again. Eye gaze forwards, neck and shoulders relaxed, and then rolling up. Abdominals pull in deep around forwards over the thighs, and then lift up. Now, stay with that if you'd like, or we're going to roll back, and we're going to go a little bit further, but this time we're going to need to either walk down the thighs with the hands, or release, which is going to be more challenging. So I'm just coming to my lower back, and then to lift, I'm deepening to round forwards. I might use my hands to help me to come up, and then rise. Now, if this is challenging, it may not be because of your abdominal strength. It may be due to the mobility of your spine. So this does increase mobility. So what we want to do to facilitate the movement for ourselves is use a prop, a towel. So on that part of your spine, it's usually the lower back. So if you've got tight lower back or a hollow lower back, the towel at your lower back is going to give something for your abdominals to push against, to make it easier for you to roll back or roll up. Now, if it is a different part of your spine, the towel will want to go in that area. So if it's more around bra strap or bottom ribs area, the towel will want to go at that area. And we're just going to do 2 more. So you can play around with where you can go to and where you can return from. What we want to make sure is that we don't go to that place where we find what I call the sticking point, where we can't come back to. That's where we may need the towel and a little bit more help, or just work up to that. So our last one, coming just to the tips of the shoulder blade. I'm using my abdominals, I'm pressing my spine into the towel to lift. and then come all the way up. Keep this tall sitting position and just let your legs relax. So shoulders back and down. Let's finish by taking an in breath and an out breath. And one more time. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. So I hope you enjoyed the class today. Hopefully that gave you something to work on and some extra challenges there. So please subscribe below and click the bell icon to get notifications for future classes. I hope to see you next time. Bye!